Now we're standing beneath a big oak at a high point on the ridge.
This is a beautiful filtered view for a full 360 over to Morgan Territory, up to Round Valley, over to the ridge northwest of the dam, across to Vasco Caves and Brushy Peak. Follow the fire road and the peninsula east back to where you started. It really frames the view nicely too, because Brushy Peak is just to the right or south, with Vasco Caves just to the left or north. Giant windmills stretching between them.
Today, the economic engines of Los Vaqueros do not involve tule elk, tallow, bread ovens, wool, or any of the other keys to survival in the past. Nope, the area is a mix of open space and industry, with water and wind power being the most tangible products. Some of the windmills are on land owned by the Conta Costa Water District. But when the district purchased that land, it didn't buy the wind rights. Those rights are owned by energy companies. In Los Vaqueros and beyond, those companies have installed some 4,500 turbines, which can deliver about 500 megawatts of electricity. That's as much as a small coal-fired power plant, or enough for 200,000 to 300,000 homes. This is clean energy. No fuel has to be dug out of the ground. No pipelines spill toxic substances. No pollution belches from a power plant. But this energy is not without consequences. Here's Mike Moran.
When the wind power first started as an idea out here, the Altamont wind resource area, boy, it was a great idea. Environmentalism was really just getting its feet on the ground. Wind power, it was green, it was out on a farm, it was in the open space, it was a lovely spot, so it was kind of cool to see, and it was kind of a throwback to a simpler time. We're producing the energy we need by windmills, or wind turbines. There's a pretty good chance that not many folks thought a whole lot about the impacts of turbines on wildlife. And where would you put up wind turbines? You put them up in windy areas, and that's where the birds go. So there's one thing right there. Where do you put them in the windy areas? Well, put them on the ridge tops, where it's windiest, and where you could intercept most of that energy, be able to convert it to electricity. Well, where a bird's going to be flying from valley to valley is over those ridge tops. So all these things came together, and when the turbines were first built, relatively small, close together, very fast moving. And when they move fast, it's difficult to see. It's like you hit the fan button at home and it starts slow and you can see it, but then when it goes really fast, it's hard to see anything. It's called vision smear. You know, when I first started reading about this stuff, I thought, here is a golden eagle that can see a brown ground squirrel in brown grass sitting still 2 miles away. And it can't see this thing. Well, no, it can't. When you key in on prey, you lock onto that thing, and everything that's in front of you, from crows flying around to a hummingbird buzzing by to a plastic bag flying in the air, you just ignore it and go straight to your prey. And they were getting hit by those wind turbines. Not only that, you were offering these big tripods, great perches for birds, because the only easier way to hunt if you're a big bird than flying around in the wind with your wings held still is to sit on something and get the same view. So you're actually now inviting birds to sit on the crossbeams.
This was no small problem. In the early part of this century, Altamont Pass wind turbines were killing some 2,000 raptors each year, including about 450 burrowing owls, 320 red-tailed hawks, and 70 golden eagles. The number of adult eagles in established territories remained stable, but young eagles, which had to venture farther afield to hunt, were hard hit by the wind energy boom. In 2004, Golden Gate Audubon Society and other environmental groups sued Alameda County. They argued that the county had issued wind permits at Altamont Pass without adequate environmental review. A court settlement that followed required a 50% reduction in the deaths of 4 key species, including golden eagles. So the wind companies began making changes, such as,
instead of using tripods, you use monopods in the next wave of the turbines. and you spread them out a little bit more. And they're bigger and they're more efficient, so you don't have to use as many. And the folks have done studies, really intensive studies up there. They found that some of the areas, some of the ridge tops, are what were referred to as blood alleys. For some reason, there are a lot of birds that are dying in these spots. So when turbine companies wanted to update their permits, there was data there saying, hey, why don't you move this thing off the ridgetop, down the ridge, to a different area to reduce mortality? Why don't you use these much bigger props, which are much more efficient anyway? So you're using huge turbines now. Because they're so efficient, you could reduce the overall number. So by the time the Altamont is built out, you will have gone from probably 5,500 turbines in the 70s down to maybe a third or a fourth as many, producing more energy that's hopefully a lot less impactful on these birds.
In 2012, an independent review concluded that the county had met its goal of reducing bird deaths by half. Not all scientists agree that that goal has been met, but with the help of groups like Golden Gate Audubon and Save Mount Diablo, which is working on reducing the terrestrial impacts of the wind industry, we're headed in a positive direction.
Hopefully the data will show over time that as you learn more, you may not have these traditionally antagonistic uses of the land. You might actually be able to come up with these ways of manipulating the way you do business for the benefit of the critters. We want to have green energy. We want to run an energy business here. We want to protect these birds. How are we going to work this out?
Continue along the ridge for another half-mile or so until you reach the junction of the Peninsula Crest Trail and the Los Vaqueros Trail. Stop near there for segment 11, all about tiger salamanders and red-legged frogs.